Welcome to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good in our community. And we're honored to kick it off with Ron Wade. He's the Executive Director of HopeWorks. And Ron, how are you doing, buddy?
Just great, Jeremy. Great to see you. Always, whether it's in person or virtual, you're always a upbeat, gallop in your step, so to speak.
Hey, well, you do so much to give me that positive energy. So let's talk about HopeWorks and the good you do. Give us let's start with the mission and purpose and a little bit of the history. So give us the mission, purpose, and a little bit of history for HopeWorks.
Okay, sure. So Jeremy, HopeWorks is not a new person on the block. Actually, about 32 years has been a history where we provide what I like to say in an abbreviated elevator speech, hope and a job. It's a faith-based organization, so the hope actually is in Jesus running through. And we would try to remove barriers for people to get jobs. Oftentimes, individuals we work with, men and women, are those on the margins. They actually have come out of generational poverty. They have, for one reason or another, not received education in terms of a high school diploma, or sometimes those are in incarceration. So we kind of work with all of those individuals and hopefully can power the good, as you would say.
Absolutely. Share a little bit of the magic in terms of the program and walk us through kind of the steps, if you will. So take us through the program.
Okay. So the initial part, whether you're coming from generational poverty or whether you're coming without a high school diploma, or whether you're coming and you're locked up, all of those in the initial assessment. And so we try to take people where they're at. And again, the turn is to get them job ready. So if you're actually in the community, which by the way, we're located on Summer Avenue, the south of us is Binghamton, the north is Heights, Graham Heights. And by the way, you need to come see me sometime for sure. And so we would work with individuals that are coming to us to get jobs. Sometimes those individuals would, like I say, not have a high school diploma. So we'll do an assessment, and then we put them in a program we call personal and career development. So once we find the assessment, then we try to get a vocational piece and move them along the line. At some point, Jeremy, the individual will have to make a decision. Is it worth their time to stay with us? And oftentimes that decision is based on two factors. Even though it's a free program, we do random drug tests. And so the reason for that is, even though the state of Tennessee says, it's still illegal to use drugs, in the event that was ever changed and it was legal, still employers deal with people who they need a clean drug screen. So one of the issues is drugs. And then the other part is attendance. So when an employer knocks on our door, we need to be able to say, not only are they drug free, not only do they have about 300 hours worth of soft skill training, but they have really good attendance, so they're going to show up. And so that piece, and then we surround it with counselors, case managers, kind of an extended family encouragement piece. And so a day has changed from a 13-week process to like a 9-week process. And so we're even trying to investigate ways to make that even shorter for the individual. So that's what we do. Our initial, what we call our signature program, personal career development. However, Jeremy, that changed pretty dramatically about 5 years ago. And that was when I often like to combine Starbucks and the Blue Plate Cafe when I tell this story. The Starbucks piece was that HopeWorks was asked to do a pilot program through the state of Tennessee to help individuals who dropped out of school. And so we did that for a little while, and apparently impressed somebody at the state, because they said, you know what, we'd like to give you a little bit bigger piece of that pie. Then it went out for bid, and then we got basically the whole pie. And so that resulted in, instead of a staff of about 14 or 15, it grew to about 60, a lot of those part-time. So we spread out into 20 different locations in the city, and basically taught individuals to get their GED, is what we would say, high set. The state would call it high set now. The other, so that's a Starbucks piece, and the way Starbucks is connected is the director of the Department of Labor at the state of Tennessee met me there, and frankly, when he met me, I thought, uh-oh, what did we do wrong? So I was really sweating in it, and ended up we did something right. The other piece was a breakfast invitation to at the Blue Plate Cafe with, at that time, it was the late Bill Gupton through the Shelby County Division of Correction and Mayor Mark Luttrell. And in that meeting, we were invited into corrections. And so we took our signature program inside, and the whole idea there is to improve the recidivism rate, let they go down. Because recidivism is incredibly major problem in our country. You can do a lot of things with numbers, but most of the time, 65% nationally, about 43% state. And so we're running about half of that, 23 or so percent. In some programs, we're at even single digits in recidivism. So those two pieces kind of took our regular program and made it capacity kind of grow this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dive in a little deeper on the Hope to Hire initiative.
Brad Martin is probably a name that many Memphians hear, a great entrepreneur, a great friend of the city, former president of the University of Memphis. He had an idea, and the idea was, once people are locked up, can they be trained on the inside in a way that allows them to have a sustainable living and job? So with his connections and stature, the Chamber of Commerce was involved in it, Shelby County Division of Corrections, and what came out of that was a combination of government, nonprofits, education. And so the Tennessee College of Applied Technology and the University of Memphis, Kimmons Wilson Culinary Institute, HopeWorks, and Shelby County Division of Correction all came together. And so we call that program Hope to Hire. And it's been incredibly successful. So what happens is an individual, once they're locked up, they'll come through a soft skill program, as I mentioned, the PCD part. Then they'll go into the hard skill part, and then they'll come here and we'll place them in jobs in construction or culinary. And so they've got a much better chance of not, going back. So hats off to Brad Martin, just incredibly gifted gentleman. Yeah.
We'll talk about some of the different ways. I think listeners are already picking up on, hey, if I'm on the corporate side, the jobs is a big piece in terms of providing job opportunities as a way to help mentorship, coaching, volunteerism. There's a lot of ways that we can help. One of which, though, is a HopeWorks breakfast. Talk about the upcoming breakfast.
Well, this breakfast is our 13th consecutive breakfast. In fact, all of these pictures on the wall are great speakers. I will have to talk about Bill Strickland. Is one of the ways I was introduced to your organization through at that time, the Lipscomb Pitts Breakfast Club. And so Bill Strickland had a program in Pittsburgh that is kind of the NBA, so to speak, but he would work with individuals and help them make that turn out of poverty. So we've had really a lot of great speakers there. This year, Chris Winton who had a great success story in Memphis, grew up in Memphis, struggled a little bit. He'll tell you and go through high school. FedEx came and offered in his particular high school just a little after school connection with jobs. He bit into it and stayed with them for incredibly progressive part, so that now he is head of HR for FedEx Ground nationwide. So he's a really dynamic speaker, author, written a book. And the main thing is that he is a real success story out of Memphis. So he'll be our speaker September the 18th. So we're looking forward to that.
Give us a little bit on the addiction recovery partnership with the county.
Yeah, Dr. David Stern, who was the dean for the University of Tennessee Medical School, focusing in on addiction, actually sought us out in many ways, like the state and like Shelby County Division of Correction. And he said, you know what, we've really had some great success in our addiction recovery in a broad part of the society, particularly in prisons. And so what he said, Ron, what I can do, I can really make that case through some mental therapy, also some different ways that he does it. What I can't do is get individuals jobs. So I would like to partner with you. And when we get them on that recovery, for you to come in and help them find something to do with their free time. And so we're partnering with Dr. David Stern. It's a grant through the Shelby County Government, and we're really excited about that. It just began, and initially it's getting really positive, results.
So I mentioned the breakfast is an easy way to help support your efforts, but what are some other ways that we can show support and be involved? Talk about volunteer opportunities, talk about jobs, talk about all the different ways that we can help HopeWorks.
Yeah. Jeremy, always when someone asks me about volunteer, there's always a question about how can you really volunteer and it stay with you, where it kind of really stays with you. And always that best way to do that is we call them faith encouragers. And so that faith encourager will walk along someone at our Summer Avenue location, or walk alongside someone inside correction. Or one area I didn't mention to you was we have a really strong ESL program, English as second language. That's also through the state. And so walk along with someone from another culture. So we've got about 150 individuals from 40 different countries. And so kind of walk along with them. That is the best way to really have HopeWorks be more ingrained with you. We also, as I mentioned, on our program at Summer Avenue, it's 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. We provide lunches each day for the students that are here. So individuals, organizations, churches can always provide a lunch, once a quarter or so. There's a lot of ways to get involved. The best way to do it is to come and see us. This facility we have is really a blessing, really a gift from God. I always like to get people in it so we can kind of walk through it and just kind of see what volunteer opportunities might resonate, with you.
When you look at the work you do, what is a lesson or a bit of encouragement you would offer? Because you cover the spectrum in a wide variety of ways. You're working with individuals who, in many cases, don't see hope, and yet you're providing them hope. You're working with them who don't have the education and the skills to get that job, and yet you're helping them transition through that process. There's patience, there's respect, there's integrity, there's the different languages and cultures. What's something that you've learned walking through this in terms of how we as a community can come together and really help each other succeed? What words of encouragement or a bit of advice would you pass along?
I think the first thing that pops into my mind is just one of genuineness and integrity. You know, it's one thing to say to yourself, I think I'll just go down and help somebody else. It's something else to say, you know, I have really been blessed all my life, and it's not going down and help somebody else, but how can I walk alongside an individual and really receive the blessing as well? Because what oftentimes happens with someone who volunteers is that they come away and say, you know, I'm the one that really has received the blessing. So in many ways, I think organizations like us who deal with people who have been disadvantaged, who are on the margins, sometimes even subconsciously, I think we might look at it in a condescending way, even though we don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, but somehow it's just ingrained. And so we've got to get off of this idea of we're going to go and bring them up. What we really want to do is come and walk alongside and see what we might learn as well. Because these individuals, whether they're coming from another country, whether they're coming from prison, whether they really need genuine, authentic friendship and relationship. And so you're not going to take somebody and pull them up. I just think that's the wrong. What I've learned is just genuinely see how you can help, and maybe, you know, see how God can help you in that. I guess the one thing I've learned in about 12 years of doing this is the more you know, the more you realize how little you really know. You know? So that's that would be my advice.
Good stuff. Wrap up with contact information. Where do we go to learn more about HopeWorks?
Jeremy, the best way to go would be to look on our website, and that would be why, just the word WHY, why HopeWorks.org. And you'd see a lot of information there. Probably be the best thing.
Well, Ron, greatly appreciate all you and your team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Okay, Jeremy, thank you. Great to see you again.